Hey everyone, welcome to take 3 of the third episode of the Godot tutorial series. So, in the last 2 episodes, we made a simple game where this cute blinking red square has to collect these coins. And coins spawn every, I believe, 5 seconds in one of the 4 spawn locations. Now, in this video, I want to do a few things. First, I want to add more input, because right now the player can only move with arrow keys. I want to add WASD movement, add movement with this Xbox controller, which is connected to my laptop. And after I add the input, I want to add some sort of enemy that follows the player. So I'm just going to close this for now. Wire here. Okay, and then to add more input methods, you have to go to project settings and go to input map. It'll be on the top over here. Now you can see all of the actions, because in our current script, what we're doing is we're checking if the player is clicking UI right, UI left, UI up, or UI down, which are the actions for the arrow keys. As you can see, UI down, UI up, UI right, UI left, they're all here. UI left is here, this is the left arrow key, UI right is here, UI up is here, and UI down is here. So now we can add more actions, such as W to UI up, but we can also make our own actions, and that's what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to be creating a new action called move up, move down, move left, and move right. Move right there. In move up, I'm going to be adding, click the plus button, click key, and then click W. So W, I'm also going to be adding the up arrow key. And then for the controller input, I'm going to be doing joy axis, left stick up, and leave the device at 0. So this is up in the controller. Left joystick moving up like this. Move down, that would be the S key, the down arrow key, and joy axis. Left stick down. For move left, I'm going to be adding the A key, the left arrow key, and the left stick left. And then for move right, I'm going to add D. I'm going to add right, the arrow, and I'm also going to add left stick right. Click add. And close the input map. Now if we run the scene, we still can move with the WASD, still can move with the controller. What I want to do is, over here in our player script, we want to change the actions UI right to move underscore right. As you can see, there's autocomplete now. For our custom actions, move left and move up, and finally move down. There you go. Now if I run the game, the player should still be able to move with the arrow keys. But now we can also move with WASD, and hopefully with the controller as well. Yeah, it works. Okay. So now we have better input for our game. So the next thing we're going to be adding is, the player, right now it can just move around, collecting coins. There's nothing that can stop the player right now from collecting coins. So let's add some sort of enemy that prevents the player from, or tries to prevent the player from collecting the coins by chasing the player. If it touches the player, it's game over. So I'm going to be adding a new scene, and then just like we did with the coins in the last episode, if you haven't checked out the previous episodes, I'll link them in the description. So in the last episode, we added these coins we made a scene for the coins and instance them inside of this main scene. Here's a coin scene, but we're going to be creating a enemy scene now. So click custom node and select area 2D, just like in the coin scene. I'm going to double click the area 2D to rename it, and I'm going to call this zombie. I'm going to give it a child, which is a sprite. I will animate it just like I animated the player in the previous episode. So under animation, set the vertical frames to 3 and the horizontal frames to 2. The sprite sheet that I'm using, the download link for the sprite sheet will be in the description. Make sure you check that out. And set the frame to 3, or 3, yes. Okay, so here's the zombie right now. I'm going to save it inside of my scenes folder as zombie.tscn. And then I will add a animation player as a child. Click animation, make a new animation called blink. I will just make the zombie blink. So set the length to 2 and at 1.5 in the sprite, key the 4th frame, click create, then over here key the 3rd frame. And I'm going to set looping on by clicking this button over here. Click Shift D to play the animation. And it should blink now. I'm going to move this over to 1.7 actually. Okay, there. We have a blinking zombie now. Okay, it works. So I'm going to pause the animation and click this button. This will autoplay the animation once the scene is loaded. I'm going to save the scene again. As you can see, it's giving me a warning. What this is saying is that this doesn't have a shape. We have to give this a shape so it can interact and collide with other objects in our game. So to do that, add a child, which is a collision shape 2D, just like we did for the player and for the coin. It's giving us another error. All this saying is we have to give the collision shape a shape. So in the inspector, click the shape property and click new rectangle shape 2D. Click that again and set the extents to 60 by 60. There you go. There should be a collision shape on the zombie now. So now in the world scene, what I'm going to be doing is adding a new child, which will be a node 2D. I'm going to call this zombie spawn 1. Because I want different spawn locations for a zombie, I'll move this over here. I'll click Control D to duplicate it. I'll move this one somewhere here. So we'll have maybe 2 zombie spawn locations. Maybe this one can be moved. Okay, I'll move this one a bit over here. Now I will drag zombie.tscn, which is our zombie scene, onto the scene tree, right onto the zombie spawn 1 node. Not like that. I will drag it onto the zombie spawn 1 node there. Nope. Okay, there. Now it's a bit big, so inside of the zombie scene, I'm going to select the area 2D. And the transform, I'm going to scale it to 0.5 on the X and 0.5 on the Y. Now the zombie should be the right size if I run the scene again. We have a zombie there that should be blinking. Okay, there. So now there's a cute zombie there, but it's not chasing our player, which is kind of what we wanted it to do. So to make it chase the player, we have to add a script to the zombie. So select the zombie scene, and with the area 2D selected, click this plus the add script button. Okay, so I'm going to save this inside of my scripts folder as zombie.gd. Click open, click create, and then it'll open in the script editor. I'm gonna full screen the script editor. What I'm going to do is actually go back to the world scene. And now, if we want the zombie to follow the player, we have to store the player inside of a variable. So what we're gonna write is on ready var player. I'm just gonna leave it at that because what does this on ready word mean? If you've been following the series, you've probably seen the keyword var before, which is how you declare a variable, and export var, which just puts this variable into the inspector. What's this on ready var though? On ready var means this will only be called once everything has been fully loaded, because we want the player to actually be loaded and be in the scene before we try to access it. Otherwise it will return a null instance, and we can't really follow a null instance. So when the scene loads, we're going to use the dollar symbol to get a node. Dollar symbol is a short form for the get node function. So inside of quotation marks, what I'm going to do is, no, not the dollar symbol, there. Inside of these quotation marks, what I'm going to do is slash root. That will get the seed's root. And write world, which is our world here, and then player. So this is a path to the player. I think you can also drag it over. Okay, that won't work, but so this is our path for the player. Our zombie's over here. It'll go to the root. It'll get the world scene node, and then it'll get the player node that's a child of the world. Now, once we have this player variable, what are we going to do with it? So, inside of the physics process function, if you remember, that's just the function which is executed every frame, 60 times a second. So, inside of this function, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be increasing this zombie's global position. So we're going to take the current global position and we're going to add global position dot direction. Let me just full screen this. Direction 2 player dot global position. So we're going to be increasing the current global position by this. What is this direction to variable function? Global position and position are vector 2s, and the vector 2 class in Godot has a function called direction 2, which just returns or gives us a vector which is pointing towards whatever we pass in, which in this case is a player's position. So it's going to give us a vector that is pointing from the zombie's position to the player's position. And then we're going to be increasing our position by that vector, making us move towards the player. Okay, I'm going to save the zombie scene again. And I'm going to run the scene, and hopefully if everything works, then the zombie should start following the player. As you can see, our zombie follows the player now. Now, if the zombie touches the player, nothing happens. Now, the zombie's kind of slow. I wouldn't recommend making it faster in this particular game, but if you want to make the zombie faster, or whatever enemy you have that's following the player, what you would do is you would multiply this by a speed. You'll probably want to store that speed in a variable. Let's say 5, for example. No, that's a bit too fast. How about maybe 2? So you can see the zombie's moving towards me much faster now. Okay, there. So I'm not going to do anything with it for now, because I think the speed of the zombie is good for now. You could always change it in the script. So now what I want to do is when the zombie touches the player, I want the player to I want it to be game over, basically. So how would I do that? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is what should happen when the player loses the game. How about if I make it so that something how about if I make another scene, click add new scene, click user interface, and this will be the game over scene. So I'm going to call it game over. Okay, once you have the game over scene, what you want to do is add another node to it. Make it a color rect. This is a color rectangle. Now these green nodes are just UI elements or user interface elements. So obviously the game over screen is going to be a user interface. If you're making a main menu, which we're going to do in a later episode, then that will also be a user interface. And also if you have like an inventory, a health bar, all of those are user interfaces. All of those will be green nodes. Now I'm going to in the inspector under rect, there's a property called size. Set the size to 1028 on the X and 600 on the Y. That should make it fit the entire viewport. Set the color to red. I'm going to save this as gameover.tscn in my scenes folder. I'm also going to add a label as a child. And inside of the label text, which is in the inspector, you want to write game over. Okay, now, the text is very, very small and won't be easy to see it. I wrote game over by mistake. Okay, game over. It won't be easy to see it. Now, the way you're technically supposed to make the font bigger is create a font. But the hacky and quick way to do it is just scale up the label. Just gonna scale it to like 5 by 5. It gives the text a pixelated look, but it's okay. Gonna move it over a bit and move it down a bit, maybe 7 by 7. Okay, and then in custom colors, I'll set the font color to black. Okay, so now I have a new scene, which is my game over scene. But what I want to do is when the zombie touches the player, I want to switch the scene to the game over scene. How would I do that? Well, first I want to detect if the zombie is touching the player. So remember how in the previous episode we used the body entered signal, which is part of the Area 2D to detect whether the player was touching the coins. Well, we're going to be doing the same thing, except this time we're going to be checking whether the zombie is touching the player, or vice versa. So to do that, select the zombie scene and click on node and double click the body entered signal. Keep everything as it is. Make sure make function is on the bottom and click connect. That should open up the zombie script and give us this new function called on zombie body entered. And it also gives us a parameter to work with called body. So first we want to check if the body that is touching this node is the player. So to do that, we can just check its name. If body dot name equals player, this has to be in quotation marks, player. There. Add a colon. And the next line what we want to do is if the body's name is player, then body dot get underscore tree dot change scene. What this does is it changes the scene to whatever scene we specify, which in this case is the game over scene, which is in our scenes folder. So it will be scenes/game over.tscn. Don't forget the .tscn, otherwise it won't work. So now that should be working. If I select the world scene, run the scene, then the zombie's following me, and collect the coins, But if I touch the zombie, then it switches to my game over scene with the ugly pixelated text. Yeah, I'm probably going to change that back to 5. It looks very ugly. Scale 5 by 5. Okay, there. This look a bit better now. Okay, that looks slightly better. Okay, so now we have the zombie that follows the player, and we have a game over scene. So, in this episode, we added more input methods, controller and WASD, and we added a blinking zombie that follows the player, and if it touches a player, then it's game over. So now, in the next episode, what I'm going to do is add zombie spawning. Remember how we made those nodes, zombie spawn 1 and zombie spawn 2? We're going to be using those. And also, if I go on full screen here, this happens. Yeah, I'm gonna quickly tell you how to fix that before I end this video. So it's really easy. Just go to project settings, general, and then under display, click window, and then in stretch, set the mode to 2D. Once you've got that, if you open your scene again, any scene, and you go to full screen, everything just gets stretched out a bit, but nothing's being cut off anymore. So you can see the game over is on the full screen now. So that was the 3rd episode of my Godot game dev series. If you enjoyed, then make sure you like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. Remember, check out all the links I put in the description. See you in the next video. Bye.